Hey everybody, welcome to the video. This is my first time doing a narrating time-lapse, so we'll see how this goes. So basically I'm working on a recreation of the Club Penguin game Thin Ice. A friend of mine asked me to make it, so I decided why not. So here, right now, what I'm doing is I'm pretty much just editing what can be walked on by the player. So here you can see that my tiled map maker is really messed up. I don't know why it scales so strange on my second monitor. So I decided that I'll do all map making on my primary monitor, so you guys won't be able to see that. Maybe I'll put a video out later of me working on that. And then here I begin to get started on the top UI. The bottom will be done eventually, but right now I just want to work on the top. I had some issues with RGB values. I don't know why, but they just weren't working out for me. I decided to just grab the actual RGB values from the image itself, or from the game itself, and I was hoping that would work out. I decided to move on to actually putting the text at the top. So I was using bitmap fonts, which is it's just pretty much text in picture form. And the issue with that is when you try to scale the actual text that you have, it kind of gets all blurry and pixely. So it's just not a good idea. I don't know why I didn't decide to just figure out how to use free type immediately, but whatever. And you're about to see, right here, that's where you can see that it does not scale nicely when you try to scale it. But I decided to move on with that for now. I'll just work with that for a little bit until eventually I do switch to the free type fonts, because those scale much nicer. Unfortunately, I did not record myself making the beginning of the game. I wasn't thinking about uploading this at all, but I decided why not. I haven't uploaded in a while, and I guess I just felt that I was due for an upload. So, I mean, at some point I'll probably upload a video of me like recreating the beginning, or possibly recreating the maps, or the beginning maps. I don't know. We'll see. And here I'm just doing a playthrough to make sure the top UI updates every level, and you can see that it does. I'm not exactly sure if that UI is correct in terms of what solved means. I'll have to double check that at some point. And here I discover free type fonts, because they scale a lot nicer than the bitmap fonts that I was using originally. And here I'm looking for fonts that I already have downloaded on my system. I think I downloaded them for, I'm not actually sure what I downloaded them for, but I have extra fonts. So I decided to just put those in there to test the free type font to see if it works how I want it to work. And it does work pretty nicely. The problem is the font that I used doesn't exactly match the font from Club Penguin, or Thin Ice rather. Here you can see I'm having a bit of issues with the fonts, or with having the free type fonts show up, and that was a pretty simple mistake. I was drawing white on white, and I just didn't really think of that at the time. At the bottom left, you could see it for a second there. It did show up. Here I was messing around with the bold fonts, because the actual font that they use in the game, it's pretty thick, and the font I was using was not. So here I am going to dafont.com to look for a font that matches the actual font that they use. I couldn't find an exact font. I looked up Club Penguin fonts, and I couldn't find the Thin Ice font. I found a the font for the actual game itself, like their title, but I couldn't find a Thin Ice font. Here, I like this font the most out of all the ones I look for. This one is by far the best, but the issue is that it does not have the backslash or the forward slash that I need, and for some reason they just didn't include that when they made the font. So I think at some point I'll switch back to that font and deal with that somehow. Here you can see me. I find a problem where the font that I'm finding, I thought this was a good font too, the Laundrina. It only came in OTF file format, and what I need is TTF. That's what free type font uses. So I had to find a TTF font, but I could not for the moment. At some point I do find one. I do not remember what the name was. Casual Softcore, that was actually, I think this might be my favorite font. I think it looks the best or the closest, but again, it was an OTF file format and not TTF, which is what I needed. I found a website that had like a Club Penguin font that was pretty close to what I needed, but of course the link was down, so I could not download it. And then this is the font, I would say rum. This is the one I ended up using, which it's okay. I don't love it. It doesn't really fit exactly, but it is cartoony. It is pretty bold. So that's the one I used for a while. And then there's a step variable that decides, or really, it determines how far by what increment the Puffle, which is the main character, the Puffle moves or slides to the next tile when a key is pressed. And then here I'm adding WASD support. I don't know why I did arrow keys to start off with, but I don't know, I just decided to add WSD to support at some point. And then this is about where I start cleaning some stuff up. I don't usually add too many comments to my code, or things are really sloppy. I'm trying to make some better habits. I've not really had like a formal computer science class yet. I've had one in high school, but it wasn't much. I have one this summer, so hopefully I'll pick up some good habits, and I'm trying to make some good habits of my own, so we'll see how that goes. And then this is we're coming up on the end of the first day of me working on this, and I decided that at some point I needed a reset function, function's fine. Reset function, which pretty much just resets not the entire game but the level, because I found myself getting too many making mistakes, and I realized I couldn't go back. I'd have to restart the entire thing. So I decided to make a reset button, which it went pretty smoothly. I did not think it'd be this easy. I just pretty much copied the code from the next level. Oh, method, that's the word. Copy the function, or the code from the next level function, and then I just put that in there, and when I press R, you just get reset to the beginning of the map, which works perfectly actually. I did not think it would be that nice. And then I begin to make a to-do list. I decided to make it in, what did I use? I think I used Nano. So basically just improve the waves because they do suck. I'm not an artist at all. I need to replace the puffle with a moving sprite. That's going to take forever. I'm not really an artist still. I need to find a better font for now, or I can just switch back to the Conky one. And then I decided to use a 2D array for storing the tile positions, which is, I'm sure that's terribly inefficient. So here we are at the second day of recording my work on Thin Ice, the Club Penguin recreation. Here I'm working on the actual ice breaking animation. I'm using GIMP right now to make, I plan on making a GIF right now. So I'll do every individual frame where I'm just drawing new cracks and stuff, every individual frame. One problem though with this technique that I'm using, and I do find this out shortly in the video, but I realize that I'm drawing on a white background when it should be clear, because I want the ice to break and then the player to be able to see the waves behind the ice. So yeah, although the waves or the cracks might look nice, I'll have to delete it all and start all over. This is about where I realized my mistake. I can't really see the animation, or I can't see the animation changing, but I realized that I won't be able to see it. So I had to start all over, and I do think my second time around looks much better. I realized like what I'm doing, I kind of got in the flow of things. So the cracks here I think look much better. I worked much faster than before, and yeah, it just overall it was much better doing the second time around. It's about here where I realized the mistake of I guess I put the drawings in the wrong order. So all the if you play the GIF, all you would see is the first crack, and you would not be able to see the cracks behind it. So what I had to do was just reverse the order, and it worked out pretty well. Here I'm going to the libgdx documentation, because I've never actually worked with sprites or sprite sheets or anything like that. So they have a pretty straightforward example and tutorial on how to use them. But I realized that I made a GIF because I thought that would work. But upon coming here, I realized that I would have to use a sprite sheet and cycle through the sprite sheet. Here I've just put every single frame of the animation in its own spot. That way, when I import it into libgdx, it knows how to split the image up. Since if the space between each frame is uniform, then it'll have an easy time splitting the image up. Around here, I was able to get libgdx to draw one frame on the tiled map, and what I needed was it to draw every frame in succession. Here I decided to change how I was handling the wave tiles. Before, what I was doing was I would add each tile that the player ran over to an array, and there's a method that loops through that array, and it updates, or it changes it to a wave tile rather than the tile it was before. But that's really inefficient, so I decided to just, once the player runs over the tile, immediately just change that tile to a wave tile. So the plan for this was I added a second layer to all of the maps called the ice layer, and what I would do there was put the ice on the ice layer over top of the regular tile layer. That way, when the ice broke away, you could see the wave tiles underneath. And once I did that, I was going to move the tile, or the tile position, to a different array, and then I'd have a method that loops through that array and stops the animation once it's complete. here I'm saving each individual frame as its own picture. I think I did this for the sprite sheet, or not the sprite sheet, but the for an animated tile, you need each individual picture, not from a sprite sheet. So I just saved each individual picture. Originally I had them saved as 1, 2, 3, 4, and on, but I realized I need to change it to 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3, since I had 13 images in total. I didn't want 10 and everything else above that being under the numbers that did not start with a 1, if that makes sense. Since as of now I'm not really sure how to deal with class structures when dealing with a game. This is my first game with libgdx, and I think what I want to do is somehow have when a tile is stepped over, have a new class initiated, or not initiated, but a new instance of a class created, and that would keep track of the animation of which frame the animation is on, and then once it reaches its final frame, then inside of that class I'd have a method that deals with that. The reason you saw new or random red tiles on the map was because what I was trying to do was have on the ice layer that I talked about earlier, it is over top of the movement layer, and I assume that if I had a blank layer over top of a layer that, let's say in our case is I think is 19 by 15 wide, I assume that the ice layer would take the same dimensions, but for some reason it's not at the moment. When I call a getCell method or a getCell function for the ice layer, it does not, it cannot find the cell that I'm looking for based on the coordinates. I get a null pointer exception, and it pretty much just doesn't exist. So to test that theory, I decided to put tiles at the 1, 1 position, and then if I called it there, it did work. It did not return any errors. I'm just trying all kinds of things at this point. So from that, I realized that I could take individual frames from the sprite sheet rather than pasting the entire thing, and I think that's what I might do. So what I ended up with at the time was that it would put whatever, I guess we can call it a frame. It would draw a frame that we specified. And so what I think that I'll do is have some kind of class structure that once a new cell is created on the new ice layer that we talked about earlier, we're going to create a new cell, and then I don't know, we're going to have some kind of class that will keep track of each frame that it's on, and it will redraw that cell at the position with the next frame that's in the animation. as of now, that's the best idea I have. If you guys have any suggestions, or really, if you guys have like any problems with anything I'm doing, because you see the glaring problems or things that just shouldn't be there, just feel free to talk about it in the comments, and I will try to make you happy, I guess. So I decided to go ahead and record myself making some of the maps. I think I did 3 maps. Anyways, so what you guys can't see on my other screen is a walkthrough of the game. It's all pictures, and it just has, I just use that to get the map layout. To make the tiles, I just use GIMP editing software. It's pretty much like a free version of Photoshop. I just opened up a 50 by 50 pixel image, and then I got the images from the actual game, and then I tried to copy them as best as I can. And here I am making the lock tile in GIMP. I pretty much just used the same style from the finished block. I just changed the colors and added a simple little lock texture on top. And that's all I have for right now. I'm still working on the game, and I do plan on finishing the game at some point. I don't know if I'll continue these videos. I think I'll just keep recording until I do finish the game, and then I'll just release a video of everything I have, and I guess my thoughts on just pretty much what I think about the game at this point. So again, if you have any questions or concerns, I guess, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section. If you enjoy this video, and perhaps you'd like to see some more of this content from me, or just in general, just like this video, leave a comment, of course, subscribe, and that's the best way to let me know that you'd like to see more of this kind of stuff. Thanks for watching.